Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Before we start the show, I want to let you know that you can support the show and help get the stagecoach across America by buying some Riding Shotgun with Charlie stickers and patches at the ridingshotgunwithcharlie.com website on the swag and merch page. And if you'd like to buy some shirts and hoodies and coffee mugs, you can go to ridingshotgunwithcharlie-creator.spring, and you can find those on it's the Teespring store is what it used to be, but they changed the address. So there are going to be some links below. If you would like to help put some gas in the tank of the car and help get the stagecoach across America, that is certainly one way that you can do it. You also need to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm learning how to pay attention to the analytics of all this sort of stuff, and I see that there are a lot of people that are watching the show that aren't subscribers. So if you're watching the show and you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. All right, so today we are back in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and we do have you. We do have me, but I also have you. And you are Sarah Weidner.
Stephannie Weidner.
Oh my God, you are an idiot, Charlie. Now, Stephannie with two N's.
Yes, Stephannie with two N's.
See, okay.
Stephannie. I don't know.
Stephannie.
Because it's hot, and
it's freaking hot.
Got done a class for 4 days.
I know.
It's a lot.
All right, so we got Stephannie Weidner. You are going to apply some Lead Slingers hand sanitizer, okay, because I have some. This stuff is no. You need to cup your hands, girl. Okay. And then we can shake hands. But here in South Dakota, you guys are free America.
Yes, we are.
I love being an anti-masker in free America.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. And it's kind of changed a little bit too. There was.
Good to be on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've always been pretty open as from a governmental perspective. At the beginning of everything, a lot of businesses and local areas did close up in that, whatever it was, February, March, April, when everybody really wasn't sure what was going on. But from a government standpoint, we really haven't had any restrictions or regulations, which has been pretty fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah, let the people decide to do what they want to do.
Right, we're adults. I live in a nanny state. They call it a blue state. It's a nanny state. All right, so people might not know your name or your face, although they probably do. You have become the CEO of Active Self-Protection.
Yes.
That is totally cool.
Yes.
How does somebody in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, become the CEO of a training group
based in Phoenix?
In Phoenix,
yeah.
Right.
It's even better than that, because Sioux Falls is really the big town here, and I am not even from here. I am from the middle of nowhere, South Dakota.
The middle of nowhere?
Yes, so middle of nowhere, mom in South Dakota. So how it started, you've talked to Neil before, but I don't know if I won't reiterate all the story entirely about how we got into the self-defense world, at least not in great detail, because I think he already did.
He did. You had a... Oops.
Yeah, we were foster parents, and
yes.
That's something that I'd always wanted to do. We ended up adopting a child, but we were just looking at being foster parents at the time. Gone through all the training and licensed and ready to do this, and they chose us to be a home for this child that it was a pretty difficult situation. There was a large, extended, dysfunctional family, but we were a new family, so nobody really knew we were a foster family. We were out in the middle of nowhere. You could not find our house even if you had our address. There was no Google Maps at the time, but you couldn't even MapQuest it. It would take you to the wrong place.
Oh my God.
So we felt very comfortable taking this child in, that we could keep him safe. They asked us, of course we had the rights to be involved in the process, but they were like, you probably don't want the family to interact with you, see you and know you. They don't want the child taken, which I totally get. And anyway, long story short, they ended up not redacting our address at one point, and a shirt-tail relative had got out of prison and decided to come get the child with several other members of the family. And so long story short, there was that moment that I realized I was all that was standing between my 5 children, or my 4 children and the child in my care at the time, and a serious credible threat of several adults. And I had a good attitude about it. I was ready. I called my husband and told him that the social worker had told me that they are coming and I need to figure that out. And I said, they take this baby today over my dead body. And he said, he was very quiet, and then he said yes. And I said, okay. So I had a great attitude. I made a plan, which looking back was not a great plan, but it was a plan.
Some sort of plan, yeah.
But I had no skills to enforce anything or to protect them or to keep them safe. And I realized at that moment that I, like everyone else, am willing to die for my children. That's not even a question. No, that's not even a hard decision to make. I would die for the kids. But what good did that do? It didn't do any good. It didn't protect them. It didn't keep this child from harm. So that started flipping switches, that I need to figure it out, and I needed to be able to at least be comfortable that I did everything that I could do to protect my family, if I was what was standing between them and evil. So that started it, and I didn't know where to start or how to start, because I didn't know anybody that carried a gun, or I mean, hunting long guns and that sort of thing is really big, obviously, in South Dakota in this culture. But you know, this was a decade ago too, so concealed carry culture was much more limited too. And I didn't know where to go, so I started searching online. Took my first CCW class. It was an online class. Chose a gun and was carrying it and trying to figure that out. And one of the resources I found online, because I had 5 kids under the age of 10, I wasn't going anywhere or doing anything. I was at home all the time. And I found Active Self-Protection and just started learning as much as I could. He was posting great articles all the time. I realized watching the defensive encounters on video that that isn't what I thought violence looked like. It looks very different than what my imagination made it look like, and I needed to know more if I was going to be effective. Then he had probably John had about 50,000 followers on the Facebook page at this time. It was starting to get more than he could handle on his own, so he put out a call into the community. Does anybody have any time to volunteer, moderate comments? And I thought, I don't know anything, but I've gained so much from this community, and I'm here anyway, so let me pay it forward by, again, I don't know anything, but I can delete spam, I can,
I think the way Neil and I said it is, you could go through the George Carlin list and get rid of the comments.
Yes, I could. I could mom the heck out of that comment section.
I could mom the heck out of the comments.
So I contacted him, and it ended up just being a great fit. We, at this point, we became greatest of friends. We consider ourselves family at this point, which is a little bit weird for people that they actually think we are related, because we see each other so often. We talk about being part of a family, but it's just that we're that close of friends. We've chosen to be family.
I swear that at some point I'm like, I thought there was a last name that was similar.
There might be.
Because I'm like, I know John was down there. I didn't know where you guys were. But I start seeing all this stuff, and I see, you guys all together, and I'm like, somebody's got a last name, and I think John's married to you, like your sister or something. The math that I did.
Literally, the first time we met was just in that, when I sent him a message and said I'd be glad to help.
Wow.
And at this point, actually, his daughter's visiting our house right now, hanging out for several days. So yeah, we're very close. But that's because we just worked very well together. So that's what I did for a long time. When we actually made enough money to consider hiring someone, he hired me as part-time to handle some of the administrative stuff beyond the comments, just answering different emails and different things that I could do.
Very cool.
At one point he was going on vacation, and I said, let me help, let me answer the private messages. I can sort of parrot. I know what the answers are now. I've seen them enough. I can do it. And if there's something I can't do, I won't. And he said, that'd be great. And found out that I had a real gift for that, and connecting with people there and sending messages. So I just started taking over bigger roles, which freed him up to do more of what he did really well. And when we got time to hire I was the first full-time employee, whereas he was still working another job to try to make this go at the time. So beyond him, I was the first full-time employee, and
that's cool.
Now I think we're at 14, and we're about to make it 15. But yeah,
wow, as a guy that's got a YouTube channel that wishes he had all of the stuff that you guys are experiencing, like, I would love for people to be like, I've got a CEO for Running Shotgun with Charlie, and it's not me. And I've got a video editor, that's not me.
Right.
And I've got some...
Oh, because it's massive. And John was doing all of it, which of course takes you away from the things that you are good at.
Yeah.
And what I ended up being, I think, was a very good duplicate of John. We're actually very similar in a lot of ways, and so we see the world similarly. We have a very similar vision for the business and what we want to do.
Yeah.
So I can sort of help duplicate his work, and also I'm way better at details and organizing, that sort of thing. So again, it frees him up to do
to focus on the things that he's good at.
Really good at.
To doing all the stuff on camera. And teach classes and stuff.
Yep, because we're putting out almost 20 pieces of content a week, every week for years at this point. So it's massive. It's a massive load.
That is a lot.
Yeah, so...
That is so cool.
So that is how it worked.
Very cool. Now, I heard that you might have been one of the good instructors at the Mingle recently.
Yes, that was so much fun.
First of all, tell us about the Mingle. I have had Shelley and Brian Hill on the show from the Complete Combatant. I interviewed them in Atlanta recently. And the Mingle is where Shelley gets all of her female instructor friends together?
Yep, she is. Well, and actually, I've been characterizing it a little bit different. It's women in the gun industry, so you don't even really have to be a shooter to participate. It's more that networking and social aspect of it. So it's called the Mingle. It's an invitation-only event, but you can get involved if you're a woman in the gun industry by contacting Shelley at the Complete Combatant. And so the first day is really that social networking interaction. As you probably know, as women, we're a little bit outnumbered in the industry, and it's pretty easy to start feeling kind of isolated and alone. So to get that community network, I think is really valuable, and that's what she wanted to create and build. And it started out as this like 4-hour social time, and is now built into a day of social time with a little bit of shooting, not really introduction, but a couple hours on the range where they provide the guns and the tables and go through some basic handgun introduction. And then the second day is a shooting day, so you have to be qualified to attend the second day to be able to shoot, be able to run a gun and shoot it adequately. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic event, and it's something, I'm not even sure how to really put it into words. It's something really special that she's creating there, so I'm really pleased to be part of it. So she'd asked me a year ago if I would be speaking at it this year, which of course I was thrilled to do. So
what did you talk about?
Well, we have
so Neil said to me, he says you should ask Stephannie what she thinks about how women carry.
Oh gosh, yeah. Probably not any better than men in, like, because a lot of people don't carry well, but I one of my biggest pet peeves is things that are marketed to women.
The whole pink it and shrink is not a good thing.
And there's a level between where you're like, okay, this isn't super high quality, but it's adequate, and it's okay, and it's good, and it's not dangerous. It might not be super comfortable, it might not be super concealable, might not be super accessible, but at least it's still safe. But then there are other things that are really markedly unsafe products, and an awful lot of them get marketed. Well, they get marketed to everybody. It's not just women, but there's a high amount of garbage that's marketed to women, and even the adequate stuff tends to be priced higher. And I stopped at a booth at a convention once, and I don't even remember. I think it was for a belly band thing, but not one of the more well-known ones. And he was like, "Well, I think this would work for you." And I'm like, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." And he asked me what kind of gun I carry, and I said I carry a P30, an HK P30. And he said he clearly didn't know what gun that was, and he pulled up a small blue gun, like an LCP, and says, "Is it this size?" And I was like, "No, it's a little bigger than that." And so he was going through these guns till he finally got to one. I'm like, "It's bigger than all of those, but it's still not going to work for me." But the frustration that somebody that designs holsters for a living and ostensibly makes money, and holsters, as you know, are incredibly important for keeping people safe. A bad holster is a huge risk, and he's not even super familiar with a lot of different well-known carry handguns. So
that's not encouraging.
No, it's not encouraging. So that I find really frustrating, and something that's of good quality makes it so much easier to carry it concealed and comfortably, so you will do it. And so, yeah, I get really frustrated with the idea that, well, and I think, I don't know how much TMI I can get, but I think, like, men's and women's bodies are different, and they are. That isn't, I'm not going to make the point that we're not, but every single body is different from each other's bodies as well.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
And the breasts and the ovaries don't have anything to do with actually how I carry my gun. So, I mean, I almost never use them.
Okay.
So, but there's this idea
the breasts or the ovaries?
Yeah, but
which one do you really need when you're considering the breasts or the ovaries? Because I could be, well, I don't have the ovaries.
But they're like, well, you know, you're a woman, so you wear a bra, so let's use that to carry the gun. And I'm like, but you don't have to. There's a better way already.
Right.
Or, well, maybe you should carry on the thigh. I'm like, well, you don't, okay. So I feel like they look at the female body and what makes the female body unique, and then that's how we carry a gun. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. We have waists, and they are as a gender different, but from body to body it's different too. So you just have to really learn how to do it well, rather than say, well, I'm a woman, so I need a woman specific solution.
Right.
I don't know that that's accurate.
I had I was doing a pepper spray class in upstate New York to become a saber pepper spray instructor, and there was a couple women in the class, and I ended up asking one of the women, I said, so what do you think about, and this was 7 or 8 years ago, I'm like, so what do you think about the crossbreed holster, or the flashbang? And she's like, yeah, I think it's a bit of a gimmick. I'm like, well, how do you carry? And she said, just like you, strong side hip. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, I don't want to veer off, but I'm trying to find the falls.
Okay.
And the falls was a parking lot.
Okay, that is weird.
Yeah. I will say, one of the things I like about my gig is going to places I've never been and driving around. Because I'm like, okay, listen a little bit, and then watch a little bit, and then listen a little bit, and watch. All right, so this is the falls?
Yes.
The Falls Cafe?
And the falls should be, we'll be able to see them when we come right around. I did not realize for the longest time, so I'm from Sioux City. It was where I spent more of my childhood, which is 90 miles south of here, and I never really realized that when I found out that Sioux Falls were actually falls. And I was like, really? You didn't know that? I'm like, I've never been to the waterfalls. Come on.
I didn't know it either.
That's a very not South Dakota thing, at least not this part of the state.
Gotcha. All right, we're going to get a selfie.
Awesome.
What do you think?
Yes, we totally should.
We'll be back. All right, so we just grabbed a selfie at the falls of Sioux Falls.
In Sioux Falls.
It's actually a fall. Yes. Like Niagara Falls has a fall.
Almost exactly like Niagara Falls, just like 1/100th of the size.
It doesn't look like you can go over the falls here in a barrel.
No.
But you said that people do have issues with that.
Yeah.
And we did see a girl climbing over the fence.
Yes, she showed up right in the middle of our conversation from the falls.
She comes up from the falls. Perfect. Yeah, it's very much like gun-free zone signs. The fence doesn't really work.
Yes, they really didn't stop any of them.
The railing did not stop anyone.
Falls was full of children.
Right. I was surprised to see so many people climbing over the falls.
Yeah.
Like, is that okay? And there were so many people doing it. I'm like, well, there has to be a way to get down.
It has to be okay. Yeah. I think actually one of the paths leads you to the bottom part of it. I don't know that you're supposed to then climb the falls back up to the top, but
probably
it is possible, apparently.
See how much free America it is? Hey, we're putting railings up. We don't want you to go here, but if you do, you know, you might need to sign a waiver.
Yes. They probably do need waivers there.
Probably. All right, so let's get back to you and ASP stuff in the Mingle. So you didn't start off being a gun gal or a gun instructor?
No.
But
I was just trying to help. I was just doing, commentary and stuff like that, and at classes, but not helping as anything other than keeping them running.
Right.
And then John asked me to become an instructor. I was a decent shooter and pretty good at some things, and I thought I can do that, but it seemed so far out of my depth. I didn't know that I could do it. So he challenged me to go ahead and pursue that, and so I went to my first NRA instructor class and did that. Cool. And just kind of went from there. Lots of classes from there, lots of instructor certifications from there. Found out I have a particular heart for legal, moral, ethical self-defense, so I really pursued that. So yeah, I enjoy instructing a lot. It's not something I don't think I would have pursued on my own, but so it was really interesting to find out that I'm actually good at it.
That's cool.
And I enjoy it. So
I want to ask a couple things about South Dakota, because South Dakota is a constitutional carry or a permitless carry state.
Yes.
And I know that you guys travel all over the country to teach classes. Do you teach people here in South Dakota, or you guys just...
We teach a little bit here in South Dakota. It's very difficult just because we have other stuff across the nation. I don't always have time to focus here, and it always seems like, oh, there's always tomorrow. We can organize that class later.
Yeah.
Neil actually does a pretty decent job of setting up classes and running them. And I'll help with that, but I tend to always put it off, and I'm focusing on other stuff that we're doing. So we do some here, but we do travel actually more than we teach here.
Have you noticed that people that don't have to get permits still want to take training?
Yes.
I think this is one of the things that I guess when I talk to non-gun folks, and they're like, you don't have to have a permit in 21 states. I'm like, yeah, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't going to get permits, and they're not going to know what to do, and they're not going to know how to handle a gun, and they're not going to know how to shoot themselves. And I'm like, I don't know about that necessarily.
Yeah. Well, and any training that you need as a requirement for a permit, I think, can be a problem on two fronts. Like on one front, if you have this student that's required and mandated to be here, and that is the only reason that they are there, they're not a good and engaged student. They're there to check a box, and that can be frustrating. And if that's the only classes you're teaching, I think that's really hard as an instructor to be teaching all these people that don't want to be there. They're basically being forced to by the government. But then you get past that to people. I think an awful lot of them take the call as a self-defender very seriously. I mean, you have the power of life and death in your hands, and you have to make the best decisions. Mistakes cost a lot. Even doing the right thing can cost a lot, and as we've seen over and over. So I really feel like, and they've seen that as a trend over and over in states that go to constitutional carry. You then kind of lose some of the students that are there just to check boxes, but you gain all of these students that really want to excel and be better and are engaged learners. And as an instructor and a teacher, you know what a joy those classes can be to teach. So we are getting asked to do classes all the time, and we can't even always fill the demand for them. They're just not people that they're doing that basic. The other problem with the CCW, like a carry class, you have this limited time. You can only teach this limited bit. You really need to get beyond just that basic class to really learn how to use your gun well. In a 8-hour concealed carry class, and most of them aren't even that long, you're really just scratching the surface of so many issues.
You really are. So the class that I teach the most is the NRA's Home Firearm Safety class, which is the minimum that you need in Massachusetts, and it's a non-live firing class. It's rifles, shotguns, and handguns, oh my. And here's ammunition and how ammunition works, and here's some gun safety rules, and here's the information you need to know about Massachusetts laws and the process and all that sort of stuff. And there really is not a lot to it. But I don't like to say it needs to be changed. I have I've got some friends that are instructors that in Massachusetts, the way it works is the chief of police in your town can put restrictions on your license. And if he doesn't want people to carry in his town, then he can put restrictions on the license.
He decides, You
got it. So, which is ridiculous, but whatever, it is what it is. And I've got some friends that are instructors that have said, well, the chief of police doesn't have any right to do this. All right, cool, gotcha. I hear you loud and clear. It's ridiculous. But then they're also like, well, you only do the home firearm safety course, and you're not letting people, they're not letting them fire a gun, and you don't know how well they shoot. I'm like, dude, that's not my call, because I'm not the chief of police, and neither are you. So what's the difference between them saying, the chief of police saying they're going to put restrictions, and you not signing off because someone didn't satisfy your particular thing?
I really think like the answer there is, as people that want to do the right thing, and from a business perspective, is you sell why it's more important to go to additional classes and learn more and do more. I think you can sell the responsibility part of it rather than the requirements. With great power comes great responsibility.
Thank you, Uncle Ben.
The timeless wisdom of not the rice. And I think that's a really true statement. We've been given, as Americans, depending on what state you're in, more or less latitude, but great latitude compared to other places, to protect and defend our life. As part of our constitutional rights. And with that comes a lot of responsibility to make sure you're doing the right thing, and you're not depriving a fellow citizen of their rights because you can't hit the target and you hit someone else instead.
That's the big responsibility. And having just gone through the Mag 40 class, firearms with your husband Neil and a number of other folks, it's a huge responsibility.
It really is. Well, like we were talking about earlier, even if you do the right thing, you're putting your family at risk. You need to make sure you're mitigating that risk to the extent possible. You may do everything right, and still it might just be the wrong day. You might have the wrong prosecutor, the wrong set of circumstances to where it didn't matter. You're still going to be in the media, and we've seen that happen before. But to not prepare at all, and to put your entire family, I mean, you could lose everything.
Everything. I always tell people, I often tell people, I say, listen, if somebody's going to beat the crap out of you in the parking lot after class is over, I will get video, I will call the police, I will get a good description of the guy. And I had a woman say to me, so there's a woman outside that's getting, the crap beat out of her by some guy, you're not going to do anything? I'm like, I don't know why the guy's beating the crap out of her. He could have just sold crack to his kid's sister, and it's not my thing to get into it.
Yep.
I said, plus, I pull my gun, I said, realistically, I pull my gun out and I shoot somebody. You're going home, I'm going to jail.
Right.
I'm going to buy an attorney a new house. And my name's in the paper, my kid's name's in the paper. People find out where I live, my kids go to school, everyone starts to chastise my kids and say, well, your dad thinks he's Batman and he's the Punisher and he's the enforcer and
it's a thing. It's a real thing.
I'm glad you guys are here, but you guys should have been here 6 months ago.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite attorneys, Masada Yubasaid, who's also he's not an attorney, he's law enforcement, but on the other side, Terry Johnson talks about how, they always say that you don't try a case in social media space, but he said that's not actually true, that has completely changed, that you can absolutely expect to have your case tried in public, and you need to have an attorney that is prepared to do that.
To do all that,
yeah. And it's a totally different thing than it was 20 years ago. You will have you may draw the other side of it where everything goes great and the police look at it and says, no, you were great, good job, go home. But you don't know, and every time you are taking your whole family and setting it out and placing a bet.
Yeah.
And if your whole point to protecting yourself and your family is to protect them, I'm going to be very careful about what I'm willing to risk them over. And what looks like a potential domestic as I walk out tonight and not sure I want to get involved enough or that I have the skill to do it. I mean, I have a special needs son who is going to live with me for the rest of my life. If something happens to me, I have put my child at risk, and he is my highest responsibility. And that couple in the parking lot, or that person that maybe is very innocent there and is literally just being victimized, she had the same chances that I had to learn to defend herself, and she doesn't get elevated above my child. Now, I take a very strong stance on that. We were talking about John Correa earlier. He actively goes the other way and feels that he pursues extra skills in order to help if he feels that he can. And if he sees something so egregious that he can't turn away from it, and that is the other side. Yep. Some people truly cannot live with themselves if they didn't step into something like that, and they need to be prepared to do that. That makes sense to me too. I wouldn't judge that. I just isn't me.
8 minutes ago we were at the falls. Now we're in a cornfield.
Yes. Welcome to South Dakota.
Mercy. Sorry.
I was talking, so I don't even know where we're at.
That's okay, because I've got the GPS and we've already passed where we're going, and we're
perfect. Okay, good.
We're gonna, as we say in the Commonwealth, we're gonna bang a Yui.
Yep, and at one of the major schools.
Right
Next to a cornfield.
Right in the wrong way. There are the wrong way signs. The wrong way, Charlie.
It's fine.
It's fine. No one's here. So John said he is willing to intervene.
In certain cases, something like a domestic, I think you're going to have to search your soul long and hard before you get involved in that from a tactical perspective. But if you see like an elderly person on the ground that is getting their head pounded, some things are so shocking to the conscience, is the way that he puts it. And I think it's a great way to put it. Sometimes something is so shocking to the conscience you can't help but intervene. You really could not live with the alternative of not intervening.
Yeah.
And I do think there are those situations, and again, you're putting your family at risk for that, so you better be skilled enough to feel confident that you can end it. We were doing a church security class once, and one of the first things that we do is we start with this 25-yard cold shot, just to say, okay, that's not unusual in a public setting, a 25-yard shot.
Yep.
And they all had this particular group that was their church safety team had the very small pistols that are very easy to conceal, and they couldn't hit what they intended, which honestly is a great lesson to learn. If you did not know that before and you know that now, you either know I have to get closer or I can't take the shot.
Yeah.
And they took the approach, we need to get better trained. If we're going to do this, we're actually maybe a higher risk to people around us because we didn't know we couldn't hit. And so I thought that was a great lesson to take away, that if you're not out training and testing your skills and you don't know you can't make that shot and you hit little Johnny who's just on the ground there doing nothing, I mean, that's not fun to live with.
Either. I had Claude Werner on the show one time, and he said that I think I mentioned this with Neil as well, the worst case scenario is not some big 6'8" buff dude that's got, you know, dueling logs and dueling machetes. He said the biggest risk is, or the worst case scenario is you having to shoot someone that's got a knife to your daughter's neck, and you have one shot to take, and you're like, oh, that is the worst case scenario.
And there's people I would trust to take that shot, and then there's others I'd rather they just let's figure something else out.
Right. All right, listen, we're almost where we need to be, and to wrap the show up, where can people find you, and what do you guys have coming up?
We have a couple of different channels. On YouTube is where people generally know us from. We have our main channel, Active Self-Protection, which does the after-action reports and lessons learned from real-life self-defense and encounters. And then my favorite channel actually is our little one, Active Self-Protection Extra. And that's more the mindset channel, the how do you do it channel. We have shooting lessons and dry fire lessons every Monday for free, and have for years. Brian Hill of the Complete Combatant is currently doing those. We have legal lessons from some of the best criminal defense lawyers in the country on Fridays, classes that we go to, classes that we teach, and it's all this free resource. So it's one of my favorite places for people to go. We also have a website, and through the website isn't anything, but through the website we do a online seminar every month, which is a couple hours of classroom stuff, mindset stuff, vehicle self-defense, home self-defense, defending the defenseless type, family defense, that sort of thing. And I really like that. My favorite thing that is coming up, though, is we have the Active Self-Protection National Conference, which takes place the last weekend of September outside of Manhattan, Kansas. And it's 3 days of conference-style training with some of the best trainers in the country. And it is $600, which is totally in line, $200 a day for quality training. However, an awful lot of your meals are included. There is dorm-style, first come, first serve in the dorms for anybody that wants to stay there. Not everybody does. Right, not everybody does, but a lot of people do because they're on a budget. And we have tons of prizes and everything, but the best part is that $600 is a donation made to Flint Hills to foster teen camps to support their mission in providing summer camps and stuff for the foster kids in that area. And they also do Homes for Hope, which is when kids hit 18 in the foster care system, they age out, and you are done at that point until you can start up services. So they provide this sort of 6 to 9 month temporary housing in their cabins where they teach budgeting and housekeeping and job application stuff. And obviously there's an awful lot of adoption and stuff throughout the entire Active Self-Protection staff. We've adopted and been adopted. So the idea of ministering to foster teens is near and dear to our heart. So this is totally a fundraiser for them. All of the instructors donate all of their time. Businesses foot the bills to get everybody there. And it is actually an incredible weekend. So I would encourage anybody of any skill level. We have everything from I don't know how to shoot a gun all the way up to very highly advanced classes. So you'll be able to find something to do the whole time you're there. And John used to be a Baptist minister, and on Saturday night he preaches. So anybody that wants to take part in that is welcome to.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. All right, so we're going to put some links to that. It sounds like a really cool thing.
It really is. It's my favorite thing of the year. I just love it, and it's one of those things that's almost hard to explain why. But I love it. The community that is being built there is pretty cool.
So Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, is this a big city? Or is it...
Yeah, it's actually, is it K-State that's there? It's a big college town, so Manhattan, Kansas doesn't sound big, but it actually is fairly big.
Really? Yeah. All right. That's cool.
Now we're actually, I say Manhattan because you won't know the name that the town is actually, that the conference is actually in Oldsburg, which is about 15 miles down the road in the middle of nowhere, but
it's the closest place that has running water.
Kansas City? Yeah, Manhattan is actually a pretty big town, and you can even fly into Manhattan. They have an airport, or Kansas City.
Very cool.
Yeah. Of course, I drive because it's whatever, 8 hours, 10 hours.
It's only 8 hours. This is the Midwestern thing.
Yeah.
It's only 12 hours. Let's just drive it.
It's easier that way.
Oh, God. It's easier that way. It's in the same time zone.
Right,
it's not a big deal.
Right.
That's crazy. Cool. All right. So how can people find you and all of your ASP stuff?
You can find us on YouTube at those two channels. We have a Facebook page, or our website will send you to all of those places as well. So activeselfprotection.com. But YouTube's probably the best place.
Awesome. I have, where did I put these? I've got the Riding Shotgun with Charlie patches and stickers, which you can get. These are for you. I think I gave your husband like 3 sets yesterday.
This is awesome. So, Cody's going to freak out about this one. He's going to love it.
I made sure we took a picture with him last night.
Oh, cool.
So, thank you for being on the show. Of
course. This is fun.
You got to shake my hand. I got my hand up here, girl.
You were just being expressive.
No, I'm not being. Do I look expressive? Thank you for being on the show. This is great. I love that I can get together with people in the gun community.
Yeah.
And I love that they all they will refer me to other people, and then other people accept me in. So
right. You just get that credibility by referral.
Yes. This has been something that's worked out really well, especially when you call up a woman and you're like, hi, I know you don't really know me, but I know a couple people you might know, and I'd like to put you in the car and drive you around.
Yeah, right. Out in the middle of nowhere, it'll be great.
Right, it'll be fine. It'll be great. All right, well, listen, thank you for being on. We're going to put links to all that stuff. For all of you people watching this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie, please make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You need to check out the Self-Defense Radio Network, sdrn.us is where you can find them. If you are not a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, you should be. They are saf.org. You can also donate to the Citizens' Right to Keep and Bear Arms, the ccrbka.org. I think that's a .org. You can watch Riding Shotgun on YouTube, on Gunstreamer, and on the Ops Lens app. You can listen to the show in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio. You can buy shirts and hoodies and mugs. Oh my. At the Teespring store, which is Riding Shotgun with Charlie -creator.spring, and you can buy stickers and patches at ridingshotgunwithcharlie.com on the swag and merch page. Thank you guys for watching the show. Please make sure you share this with people, and we will see you guys next time.